my name is Ryan Lane. Welcome to my review channel. So, for today's video, I will be discussing my top 10 worst films that I saw in 2021. Let me be clear, these are not films that came out during the year 2021. These are films that I saw during the year 2021. Just to clarify. Now, some of these films I've done reviews for on my channel, others I've not. Odds are likely that these films will be on my, they will be on my Letterboxd account. I'll put the link in the description below. You can check out any of the films that I list here. And so with that in mind, I will be going into just a few descriptors of the film. I'm not going to go into a full review. I've already done that either in video or in writing. So with that in mind, I will be going over the list, starting from the least worst, number 10, to the best worst, number 1. And before I do number 1, I'll be discussing 5 dishonorable mentions. So with that in mind, so number 10 is Old. Yeah, this film felt akin to watching a recovering drug addict relapse. Like, every awkward and just god-awful tick M. Night Shyamalan had before he got good with films like The Visit and Split returned in full force. Like, not even, like, Glass, the not very great conclusion to his Unbreakable trilogy had this level of awkwardness. Like, just stilted dialogue, bad fancy camera angles for the sake of fancy camera angles. It's just, and not to mention overwritten dialogue and bad acting, like comically bad almost. So yeah, which was a disappointment. I was intrigued. I mean, it's like an island where you age rapidly in a day. I mean, I feel like just that premise alone introduces a lot of existential dread, but nope. It's just characters running around like, oh my god, insert thing just happened here, what are we gonna do? And that feels like it sort of repeats just over and over again. So, yeah. Alright, now, number 9, Winchester. This film came out in 2018 with Jason Clarke and Helen Mirren. Yeah, Helen Mirren. Yeah, again, just not much to say. The film's not that scary. Some of the cinematography, there's like maybe one shot at one point in the film involving that fancy staircase of the Winchester house, but beyond that, it's just lacking in scares. It's unintentionally hilarious, which admittedly that's the only reason why this film is so low on the list, because again, I can't say I enjoyed the film, but you know, again, unintentional hilarity is still hilarity. It still, you know, greases the gears of a cricky film. Just Jason Clarke's a boring protagonist. No real interesting or new insights found out about him throughout the course of the film. So yeah, just not a good horror movie. Halloween Kills. Now, this film, well, again, another disappointment because its predecessor, Halloween 2018, god, stupid title, I digress. Anyway, Halloween Kills, that film, it's like, basically, any of the worst tendencies of the Halloween movies where they sort of develop into just murder-a-thons, where the plot is basically just excuse for Michael Myers to go around killing people. Basically, the Halloween franchise sort of reverts back to that stage with Halloween Kills. It's just characters going, okay, we need to find Michael Myers and go kill him. So should we do it in an organized manner? No, we should run around like chickens with their heads cut off and just get killed. And yeah, and it's like, and every problem people have with modern horror is present. Like, people act in literally the most stupid manner possible. Like, there are scenes that make me go, okay, that one scene from Scary Movie where it's like death on the one side, not death on the other. Like, it's making that scene look intelligent by comparison. That's how dumb some of the character deaths are in this movie. It's just, yeah, so, yeah, Halloween Kills. It's disappointing. Okay, now, Sphere. Now, this film is pretty old. It came out about 1998. Now, here's the thing about this film. This film starts off promising. It gets you right into the action. Like this giant, spaceship has been discovered at the bottom of the ocean. There's like this glowing champagne-colored-esque sphere in it. I mean, it has some potential, but no, they just sort of stick around the ship, just doing things, and things will happen. And oddly enough, Queen Latifah's in the movie. It's like, okay, I don't know. Must have been early in her career, but yeah. And so at one point there is a plot development where I go, oh, okay, all right, this is interesting. Bounces off well with one of the protagonists. Okay, cool. But then it just chooses a less interesting revelation about it. It's like, it basically becomes a whole, our fears are causing our horrors to manifest based off of them. And it's just, oh, okay, so you're it. Cool. Not to mention top that off with a just bone-scratchingly dumb ending. So that's fear. Okay, now, Queen Pins. Ooh, yeah, Queen Pins. Now this film, Queen Pins is basically a film in which these two friends, they start a coupon black market ring to sell coupons at a discounted price and get the profits. But yeah, it's aggressively unfunny. And the big problem with the film is the pacing. It's one thing in a film where it's like you hear a bad line, a bad joke, but then the film moves on. Like Eternals is kind of that film where it's like you hear a bad joke, but by the time you realize it's a bad joke, the film's already moved on. Nothing there. With Queen Pins, if there's a bad joke, the film just wants you to revel in it. Like there's one scene where one of the coupon scammers, she's doing a dance out in her front yard and it's at the music and it cuts back between her, to an objective reality where other protagonists are watching her do it, and it just keeps doing that bounce back, and it's not funny. Or there's there's a gag involving one guy shitting his pants. Oh shoot! It's like the film acts like this is the funniest joke ever, and just holds on it for so long. And what amazes me is that at the end of it, I chuckled. If not out of Stockholm Syndrome. So yeah, Queen Pins, just aggressively unfunny with poor directing and pacing, making the jokes even more painful. Okay, now, Central Intelligence. This film came out in 2016. Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart. You'd think there'd be at least a few laughs. Nope, wrong. It's just, it's unfunny. I mean, simple as that. And the film was relatively low budget, 50 mil. And it tried to put on action scenes of a film with double its budget, and it's fine at best. I mean, it's telling that the only laughs that this film can muster are the laughs involving cameos like Jason Bateman. At one point, there's a joke involving Scientology, and I laughed. I mean, granted, any joke that makes fun of Scientology will get me, but still, for a film with so few laughs, I'll take what I can get. Excuse me. Also the bloopers. They show, apparently at one point, a fire truck came to a shoot scene and it erupted. And, I don't know, the banter between Hart and Johnson was more funnier than any of their chemistry throughout the entire film. So yeah, just unfunny, predictable. Yeah, moving on. So, Human Capital from 2019. Now, this film attempts to do a multi-protagonist tale, which is interesting, but here's the thing though. So, it'll focus on one character, and then, the character progresses throughout the story, but then it sort of pulls a rewind back to the very beginning. Now, in theory that might work, but it stalls all narrative momentum and just, and so it just really kills all the momentum. And also, I guess another thing is the characters, you never really get a grasp of their motivation. Part of this film involves a character falsifying information to get a bank loan, but the problem is it never establishes the motivation, whether it's emotional or, you know, physical. It just, yeah. So the only thing that kept me from ranking the film higher is the acting. It's the only thing keeping the film from sinking hard. Alright, moving on. Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Oh, God. Now, that film is just, it's not, the jokes aren't held as aggressively as Queenpin's, but what it lacks in poor pacing, it makes up for in some of the most obnoxious characters I have ever sat through. Like, every character is over the top. You know how in the original Hitman's Bodyguard film, like, Samuel L. Jackson was kind of over the top, and everyone else was sort of playing it straight, so as to sort of highlight the dichotomy. Well, every character is now Samuel L. Jackson. Every character is over the top. They yell, they scream. Heck, even Ryan Reynolds' character is, I don't know, I can't even remember his character's name. Even his character is somehow over the top, and he's supposed to be the straight man of the trio between him, Jackson, and Selma Hayek. It's just, yeah, it's just, and to boot, it's not funny. Like, I laughed only a few times, and in the very beginning, like, and the best laugh came from a Chiron joke. Like, so at one point in the beginning of the film, Ryan Reynolds' character, he's in therapy, and the character comes up and says, you know, would you like to talk about it? And, you know, you should take a vacation to Capri. He's like, Capri, like the jeans? I was like, ha, ha, very funny. But then the film caught me off guard. At one point at the end of the film, well, not in the, not the end of the film. At one point it shows a Chiron, you know, Capri, Italy, but in between Capri and Italy, it says Capri, like the pants, Italy. I was like, okay, alright, you gotta chuckle at me, movie. But after that, nope, it's just unfunny, and the only thing worthwhile about the film is the action sequences. That's the only thing, you know. Alright, next. Hitman. Yet another film involving the word Hitman. Curious. Yeah, Hitman. Oh, God. Like, this was back in 2007, back when the film industry hadn't figured out how to make good video game adaptations, because this film is just bad. It can only establish surface level characterizations. The only character who I'd say gives at least a performance is probably the police detective, because it's not good and it's not well written, but it's at least consistent. Like the prostitute character, again, I can't remember. I think the actress's first name is Olga. I mean, her character is written so unevenly. Like, she will oscillate between liking the titular hitman and hating him on the drop of a hat. And the hitman himself, oh sweet Jesus, like, beyond some surface level characterization about his technical prowess and his inability to connect with the ladies, that's it. That's all you're getting in terms of characterization, and in terms of acting skill, this guy makes some of the most awkward facial expressions I have ever seen. It's just, ugh. And the action sequences, this film, well, one complaint I always hear about a lot of PG-13 action films is that the violence is toothless. Well, this film, Hitman, is R-rated. And yet the action still feels toothless, and not even the gore can save it, because, I don't know, the gore just happens. It never feels like a big moment. It just feels cheap and gratuitous. So, yeah. And anyway, so before I cover number one, I will cover some honorable mentions. So, and in no particular order. So the first one, Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins. Basically, it's a corporate reboot of a franchise no one wanted rebooted, and strands a talented actors like Henry Golding, Samara Weaving. I've seen those two actors give good performances in movies, and I wouldn't say they're bad. It's just you can clearly tell they're not reaching their potential in this movie. So, alright, and now Respect, 2021. Again, so, well, for this film, it's just a music biopic that hits the, it hits the genre beats of the music biopic genre with little to no imagination. The next one, Dear Evan Hansen, this is a dishonorable mention just for being badly casted and being even badly directed. Like, no one is reaching their full potential. Like, the actor who plays Evans Hansen's best friend, the film never establishes that very well. Like, I've seen him be good in the show Atypical. He is funny, but you wouldn't tell that from watching this movie. Same goes for Julianne Moore and basically everyone else in the cast. And for another dishonorable mention, Spiral from the Book of Saw. This film gets a dishonorable mention for somehow having the most boneheaded ending that basically undoes all the goodwill established up to that. Like, at one point I was like, because I was enjoying the film until the ending, but then the ending came and I was like, oh god, this is stupid, come on. It's like, you had the writing, you had the acting, you had the cinematography, you were this close to finally being a good movie. But just, you fumbled it at the 1 yard line. Alright, and for my last dishonorable mention, Ghost in the Shell 2, Innocence, from 2004. I mean, basically, this film is to the original Ghost in the Shell what The Matrix Reloaded is to The Matrix, i.e., both The Matrix Reloaded and Ghost in the Shell feature way too much philosophy at the expense of comprehension of the plot. Like, it's just, their predecessors, respectively, both managed to balance philosophy and action well. With these two films, no. And so, yeah. And so, with that in mind, my number one pick for worst film that I saw in the year 2021 is Act of Valor. I mean, basically, the Act of Valor is, to date, the only film that I've ever given a 0-star review for. Why? Because it's devoid of anything that might make it worth watching even a little bit. Good acting, good direction, good action scenes, for crying out loud. This film couldn't even master action scenes. And yeah, or it just basically, it lacks anything and everything that might make me want to say, okay, you could watch a film for maybe this, but nope, it's just not worth your time at all. So, with that in mind, yeah, so that concludes my top 10 worst films that I saw in the year 2021. Anyway, thank you for watching. You can check out my top 10 best of, well, not top 10 best of, top 10 films that I saw in the year 2021. I will put the link to that video in the description below. Anyway, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day.